following show is closed caption for the reality impaired. The Jerry Bader Show.
840 97.5 1360 News Talk, WTAQ and WTAQ.com, live from the Republican National Convention Radio Row in Tampa, Florida. Wow, wow, wow. I mean, I could do a long build-up. I could do a big introduction. I could do all of that nonsense. Congressman Reid Ribble joins us here on Radio Row. Reid, good morning.
Hey, Jerry, it's good to be here. It's exciting to be here.
You know, you came in to get ready for this. I said, that was a nice little speech. I said something this morning I know liberals are going to ridicule me for. I think in the modern era, and I would define that as the TV era, I think Paul Ryan may have given the finest convention speech in that era.
It was incredible to see it last night. And I'll tell you what else. He talked a little bit about the difference between him and Mitt Romney from a generational standpoint. And there is a passing of the baton from my generation, I'm 56 and slightly older, to this new generation of Republican, and Paul Ryan will lead that crowd. It was an amazing event last night.
I mean, there's a million things we're going to talk about here. But I thought that, in fact, I told Reid, what I did is I watched it live. I woke up at 4 this morning, and I watched it again. And you could see I'm staying at the Embassy Suites, and I'm just writing this down. And he's talking about their iPod choices.
Yeah. Here's Led Zeppelin, and Mitt Romney's got elevator music.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny.
But, you know, I thought it was good. He said, look, different generations, but same goal. And I hadn't really considered that. I did, but I didn't. In 2008, it was youth versus experience. Barack Obama versus John McCain. In this case, Paul Ryan actually provides that youth advantage, and not so much just because he's young, good-looking, which he is, just like Barack Obama, not the superficial stuff. But you and I agree. The line, I think everybody agrees. The line, and you know where I'm going. If you're a 24-year-old living in your childhood bedroom, you can pull down that faded Obama poster. That is one for the ages.
Yeah, it was an incredible line, and really what he was talking about is the lack of optimism that college graduates have under the Obama economy. And I think what Paul talked about last night, and his speech was an optimistic speech. Now, he took some shots at the president for sure,
yeah.
But he outlined a future for these young men and women who are graduating from college, that they can have a better future and they can live out the American dream. They just need to help us get Mitt Romney in the office.
A few minutes before going on the air, actually before you arrived, I interviewed the president of the College Republicans, Alex Schreiber, and it is so important for the Romney, I'll make sure this is the right order, the Romney-Ryan ticket to connect to that demographic, because, look, President Obama is going to spend more time on college campuses than anywhere else. And he has tried to vilify, he has tried to say, look, they want to take away your student loans, and all of that malarkey, when it is so critically important to say, look, and this is another line that was great. If you're not happy where you are, you got to look at the leadership that got us here. And if you are, and listen, my daughter's going through this right now, so this is not hypothetical to me. If you're piling up thousands of dollars of college debt and you're wondering how you're going to pay that off, that's who he was reaching out to, and he is of that generation to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And, you know, the thing is, these college kids are smart, and what they're seeing, and I think Paul Ryan articulated this really well last night, where he said President Obama's trying to run on a promise of a record rather than a record itself.
Yes.
And these college kids see it because they're struggling not just to pay for the high costs of college, but then wondering if there'll be opportunity when they leave. And they're too smart to buy into it again. The promise didn't pan out.
Now, depending on the media that you read, and I was surprised The Hill characterized their story this way, that it really was a slashing attack on President Obama. Well, now look, no, I thought it was a contrast, and they mentioned, and you know, I'm really getting tired. This reminds me of the pitch count obsession in Major League Baseball. How many times, you know, President Obama was mentioned versus Mitt Romney. By the way, it was 16-12. But I think that's exactly right. Well, look, who the hell is they're running against Barack Obama? You better mention that. See, it's funny. It's a criticism. This is why you can't win for losing. It's criticism of Chris Christie that he didn't go after Obama enough. And then Paul Ryan, hey, all they did was go after President Obama. But none of it personal. All of it, look, this is what he said was going to happen. This is why his policies failed. And I thought he struck an excellent balance in terms of here's the problem with the guy we want to replace. Here's why this should be the guy to replace him.
Yeah, exactly. And I think the compare and contrast approach that Paul used last night was very effective. And I didn't view it as a slash and burn. No, he took some pretty good swings at him. He used the line something along the lines that President Obama is trying to move the economy with yesterday's wind. It's like a ship sailing on yesterday's wind.
Yes.
And there's this constant movement by the president, and the president's created this himself, where he blames everybody else for the circumstance that the country's in and that he finds himself in. And if you keep blaming somebody, you're going to be susceptible to this.
And this is something that I've heard, written, and Paul Ryan, I don't remember the exact verbiage, had it in his speech. Blame versus responsibility. And look, you can go ahead and blame, but at some point you've got to take responsibility.
You do, and I don't know that in my lifetime that I've experienced a president who was so willing to pass the buck. Harry Truman had a placard on his desk that said, "The buck stops here." But President Obama has always said it's Bush's fault. It's the American job creators' fault. It's the rich people's fault. It's the successful people's fault. It's everybody else's problem but his. And he's been, as if he's been obstructed. He had Nancy Pelosi in charge in the House. He had Harry Reid in charge in the Senate. And he was in charge for the first 2 years of his presidency. This is the Obama legacy, and it's his economy. He needs to own it.
Talking with Congressman Reid Ribble, and yes, I'm just going to be honest, we are gushing about last night's speech because, it really was that good. And as I said on Facebook, style, substance, delivery in just about every way that you can mention it. Here's a line that there's so many lines that I like. President Obama's vision is a country where everything is free but us.
Yeah.
That we have no control over our fate, and government is there to help us cope with our fate. I just thought that sums up the Obama liberal Democrat philosophy.
It sure does, where that the government will provide all the opportunity. Well, how's that working? I mean, in reality, how is that working? We are a less free society today, and we can be freer. But what we need to do is, that means government can't completely shrink out or press out everything that's going on in the free economy. And they have. They've just kind of taken up all the space. And what Paul Ryan did so effectively last night, and it's because he's genuine. And I think this is what the American people saw in him, is he's a genuine person who really believes that we can do better in this country. And I felt, although he criticized President Obama and the current state of things pretty directly, he was very optimistic. There can be a better future. You can live your American dream.
Every person I spoke with in advance of the speech yesterday, Congressman Tom Price of Georgia, Genevieve Wood from the Heritage Foundation, and others, also, I said, what does he have to do? And I was asked that question by 4 radio stations. What does he have to do? Be Paul Ryan. Yeah. And that's exactly what he did.
He did. He went out and he was the same Paul Ryan on stage last night as I've known. Now, maybe he's a little better speech maker last night, but he's the same Paul Ryan that I've been serving with in Congress for 2 years. And he did exactly what he had to do. He went out and he stayed true to who he is.
Talking with Congressman Reid Ribble. Interesting, as you know, the theme Tuesday here was We Built This. And I have been reading ad nauseum how the president's line, "You didn't build that," is being distorted, being taken out of context. When you listen to the whole thing, it's even worse.
Of course it's worse. And I read, I think it was Juan Williams' op-ed in The Hill the other day.
Yes.
And he was saying how he took President Obama's words out of context to make the case that we were taking it out of context.
Yes.
It's worse when you get the whole speech and you had the stuff before.
You wouldn't believe what happened to me. I swear to the Almighty this is true. I am staying at the Embassy Suites in Brandon, Florida. That's where Fox News has their staff. The piece you're talking about,
yeah,
I was reading it. That where Juan Williams is saying that I'm drinking a gin and tonic. It was my second one, and Juan Williams walks right behind me. You would not believe the restraint I showed. I mean, it's like,
especially with a gin and tonic.
Yeah, it's like, no, this is not going to end well. It's because no, I had my phone on which I could record it, and I thought, no, the man's tired. I could see I'm not. But I thought, how many times in your life does it's like. And I respect Juan Williams.
Oh, I do too.
By the way,
I do too. I think he's a really great journalist, and I will tell you what else. What the president did build, though, and Paul talked about this last night, is he built this $16 trillion debt.
Yes,
he did build that.
And on that theme, and I thought this was really good. Behind every small business, there is a story worth knowing. Yeah. And I think that is where the videos that they showed, and I was on the floor, we ran into each other. It was funny. Hey, Reid. You know, I was not on the floor, but I was in the hall, and I thought those videos were masterful. And here's the point that I've said, where and this is why they're trying so hard to say that that line is a distortion, because it's not just guys like you, Reid, that built a business. You know, there's a hell of a lot of small business employees that understand that they have a job because guys like you and guys like Ron Johnson and people and gals, by the way, all over the country told, you know, he told the story of his mom last, you know, that, and people that work for them understand. It's not just you guys that own it. People that work for you understand that too.
Well, that's because they're getting up every single day and building it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we build companies based on the quality of the people we hire.
That's right.
It's all about people at the end of the day. And the left keeps talking about how the gap between the rich and poor is getting wider. But they never really connect the dots on why. It's gotten wider because they've made it so much harder for people like my dad, who started our roofing company, to emerge in our economy. There's so many rules and regulations and licenses and everything that to protect everybody has made it difficult for the poor to emerge by starting their own business.
Okay, I'm hearing something that you might think is silly, but I've been on all the radio stations that I'm on this morning, and a couple that I don't do the show on, I spoke with, and basically I was asked the same thing. And this might sound silly. Is there a fear that the speech was too good in advance of Mitt Romney tonight?
Oh no! Listen. You can bet that Mitt Romney is going to blow the roof off that place tonight. Listen, he is also a genuine guy. I've been with the Governor Romney 3 times in the last year, and the one thing that I've been impressed with him is how genuine he is. And I got to tell you, maybe he doesn't come across on TV as well as what Paul Ryan did, but what he's going to say is going to be powerful. I'm convinced of it. He is a capable leader in his own right, and this is going to be about Governor Romney tonight, and I'm excited to hear what he has to say.
Talking with Congressman Reid Ribble, we're at Radio Row at the Republican National Convention in Tampa. I know, Reid, you and I have actually talked about this. All right, Jason, I'm on it. Jason says we have to match up here. Hang on. Let me know if that works, Jason. You and I have talked about this in studio at least once, if not twice. The deep bench that we on the right have. You want to talk about it on display this week?
Oh man, I'll tell you, we have a bench, not just in Wisconsin. We've got a very strong bench in Wisconsin, but we've got a bench nationally that is just unbelievable. And so I don't know where the left is going to get their new brand of leadership that's coming out, their next generation, but they certainly haven't been able to find it yet. And speaker after speaker after speaker after speaker is just it's been really quite a display of American patriots, men, women, Hispanics, African Americans. You know, they like the left likes to say that they're the broad tent, they're the big tent. But I'll tell you, when you look across the crowd last night, it was a big tent. And I'm pleased, young and old, and everybody was there.
By the way, too big for MSNBC. I don't know if you heard this. They didn't show any of the minority speakers.
Oh no, yeah, and their side is the one that claims that
the pasty white guy who says that the right is racist. They kept him on. Instead of showing. In about we have about a minute I think left. Reid, let's quick throw this back to Wisconsin. Clearly, Mitt Romney's prospects have improved in Wisconsin with Paul Ryan on the ticket. When you look down ticket, there are some people who feel you're in a tough fight. There are people who feel Sean Duffy's in a tough fight. Right now, Tommy Thompson doing very well in the polls.
Tommy's doing great.
Yeah, and I'm not surprised by that. I'm not surprised by that at all. I heard people say, well, once Tammy Baldwin gets people to know her, then he's going to be up by 20 points. if they get to know the real Tammy Baldwin and not the fictional character that she's trying to build.
Yeah.
You know, that's the case there. So when you look at down ticket and the excitement that you saw building for Paul Ryan last night, we got to start feeling pretty good.
Yeah, I think it looks good. You look all the way across. I mean, the top of the ticket helps pull the down ticket up, and so that would put guys like John Maka, who's running against David Hansen, in good stead. But that doesn't mean we should let up. It doesn't mean we shouldn't work. We need to run as if we're 10 behind, and then make sure that we win by 10 up, and that's the strategy.
Yeah, you know, just a good point on the Mako Hansen race. One of 3 critical races, really, in an effort to get back the state senate. And I think that we just have an excellent candidate against Dave Hansen this time.
Yeah, I do too. I think John's working hard. I think he's an articulate, smart young guy, and I'm anxious to see how that all turns out.
And I think that's as important as anything to have Scott Walker have both houses back once again.
And I think you'll get him.
Reid Ribble, hey, listen, enjoy the rest of the convention. Enjoy the speech tonight. Always great to have you.
Hey, thanks, Jerry. Good to see you.
All right. Congressman Reid Ribble. Ron Johnson joins us at 9:06. And to get his take on how he felt things went, we'll get, as we said, we'll get to Senator Johnson at 9:06. We'll talk and we'll see. We'll try to get your thoughts as well on what you thought of the speech, all in due course. It's 8:55.